Hey, it's JP from the Junkies. Football season is finally back, and BetQL is ready to help you win more consistently this year. BetQL is an absolute game changer if you're looking to find trends to help you win. Make smarter bets on spreads, totals, player props, and more. BetQL has already helped over 300,000 people with powerful analytics and community insights. Don't fumble away your cash this football season. Visit BetQL.com for their free daily analysis today. That's BetQL.com.
Chris Lamb joins us, Wichita State volleyball coach. Shockers are hot right now, having played well. Hey, Lambeau, how are you, man?
Great. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, we're always going to have you back on. So is this your 24th season with the Shockers?
23, I think. 23.
Jeff says 24.
GoShockers.com says 24. So, well, who knows, really?
2000. I got here in 2000. So, yeah, we're getting there.
It's your 24th year, yes.
Okay.
So amazing. So I'm looking at the volleyball page on GoShockers.com, and I'm gonna point something out, and not that you're not aware of it, but I want your reaction. You were swept by SMU last Friday down in Dallas. Sunday, you came back and won the match 3-1. How important was that for your team to get past being swept and then coming back 2 days later and beating SMU?
Right. I mean, even if it was like the old Missouri Valley where you'd go play, Northern Iowa, top 1, 2, or 3, and then the next night you got to go play Bradley, who at that time was down at the bottom, and you were just happy to recover and beat anybody after getting swept or a disappointing performance. So to beat them, they're loaded, very, very talented, and, just a few adjustments, not many, but, we played harder, and, it was like, stop hoping to win and start expecting to win, and just react better with each other. And it wasn't like there was a whole lot of change, but we definitely were playing well right from the start. We got off to a big lead early. They started to press, which you see from time to time from teams that haven't been there often, and felt pretty good the rest of the way.
So what was Saturday like then? And I guess how do you decide or what are the factors that help you decide after a loss whether to kind of go easy and, we're tired or whatever the reason might be and kind of back off a little bit between that and kind of being more intense and, hey, we got to figure this out. How do you decide how to kind of deal with a loss?
Yeah, well, I trust my gut. It didn't seem like it was blown assignments or, something we should have been trying to do differently. Just way more to do with effort and belief and, execution will follow, I think. But, we didn't have a lot of magic on our Saturday practice. We did make a few changes to affect a few of their players, and it worked. They got that All-American transfer from Florida State. I was told she'd never hit negative in her career. In her 5th grad transfer year, we got her to hit negative. So, that was a job well done. And just buttoned up everything. The serve and pass game was better for us. We had a couple girls couldn't get on the scoreboard on Friday night. Saturday or Sunday, they were great. But we didn't really get all angry or get on them. It was just, look, you're either going to do this or you're not. We chilled. We had a nice practice. We had a nice dinner. We took them out to that medieval times place. I'd never been there before. We just kind of sat through that whole thing, and girls had fun. And, it's just hoping that was the right recipe, and it turned out to be good for us.
Shocker Volleyball 5-1 in the American Athletic Conference. And like I said, on a hot streak, go down to New Orleans this weekend to play Tulane back-to-back Friday and Saturday. Chris Lamb with us, Do you like the format in the American now where you're playing teams in your division 2 games in a row, 2 matches in a row?
Well, we had to fight for a lot of stuff this year with new coaches coming in and some moratoriums they put on us from the past. And it was real frustrating for me. I picked and chose my battles, things I really wanted. I wasn't so sure about the doubleheader thing, but it does save money. I'm worried about Saturday or the second match, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, not being very good. We've had right from the start, teams would win on the first day and then blow people out on the second day. So right off the bat, it didn't feel like that second match was going to have a lot of energy, but it's starting to even itself out a little bit as conference goes on. So I'm just going to reserve judgment. If it has SMU leaving the league, we're at 13 next year. It won't really make this format we're using right now make a whole lot of sense. But right now, I'm just laying low on that one. I don't know yet, but it hasn't been bad to us yet. But I just hope fans show up for the second match, and it's not just a kind of a pushover situation. But we'll see.
So we had Natalie Foster on the show a couple weeks ago, and she's kind of been hovering and at times above that 400 mark. How do you put that in perspective? Because your overall hitting percentage is really good at 236, and then there she is up near 400. So do we need like a 400 Luisa Rise type watch on her or what?
Well, maybe. I mean, we set standards and goals, and Frosty knows what she's capable of, but she's being targeted now big time by our opponents, so it's getting a little bit tougher. But we've done a nice job with that position around here over the years. It's like we call it the M2 position. There's 2 different middle jobs, and she does one of them at a very, very high level, and we try to keep her as busy as we can. But she's elevated her game, and people are coming after her, chasing her all over the place, as they probably should, and she's responding. I'm glad you guys had her out there. But I'll tell you what, not getting enough credit for her improved blocking. That's where she's made the most strides in her game, and super proud of her for that, because that was definitely a goal for the season.
Chris Lamb, our guest, Wichita State's volleyball coach. We asked her when she was on what she made of the strength of schedule in the preseason. It was very difficult. What do you think of it in hindsight? Are you glad you loaded up?
Yeah, but there's 2 ways to look at it. There's teams that are good, and there's teams that are successful. So you think of strength of schedule, you think of Power 5 teams, you think of top 25 teams, but the RPI doesn't know the difference. RPI only knows who wins and who loses. So we know the schedule was loaded with good teams, but now those good teams have to go out there and win a lot for it to help us. And Texas Tech's not doing as well. Illinois is not doing as well once they've got into conference, and Notre Dame is hanging in there. But that's really the key to it, is to schedule winners, play winners, and beat some of the winners, and then have a nice season yourself in your own conference. So I am a little worried that our schedule is tougher in reality than it is on paper, meaning by how successful they are. I mean, literally the RPI wouldn't know the difference between a bottom major league team and a top AA team. It just knows record. So, you're trying to play winners for RPI. And when you go out and play better teams, but they don't win enough, the RPI doesn't recognize that, and you're hurting for it. But we're in the 50s right now. We're hanging in there. It's better than we were last year. We just need our non-conference portion of the schedule to do their job. Shockers are doing our job. We need the non-con to do well. We had no idea, but Omaha, which is always a 22, 25 win team, they went out and put the most difficult schedule together you could imagine, and they were winless in their first 11 non-conference matches until they beat Bradley for their last match before conference. So there was a team on our schedule that went 1-11. Now they're going to do better in conference and come back, but they won't reach 20 wins. So, you can't know these things when you're scheduling how hard other programs are going to schedule, but how successful your opponents are is actually more important than how good you know them to be, and that's where the magic is. But you guys are right. We played a very good schedule, and we did a nice job. I think we're a B plus, A minus, 12-5 team right now, and I feel good about it.
So did the weekend last weekend? I'm just curious how you approached that, because you had swept your previous two opponents, and then you have the rough outing against SMU, and then you dominate the next three, including two more sweeps. So was that just kind of a restoration of your belief? Was there anything that came out of that loss that can linger, or was that just a blip on the radar to you?
Well, so inside of those wins, there was also some bad individual performances. So we were putting on the board just how delicate this is. Whether the team won or lost, we're sort of stacking performances. And it's one thing to say when you play bad, there's always if you play really, really good, and people say, well, there's regression to the mean, you're going to come back. And then if you play bad, you're like, well, there's progression to the mean. It's just you hope you don't have big valleys and big peaks. And we've had some performances this year that have been odd that way. Within one match to the next, we've had players be first team all conference all the way down to maybe we don't even have them in the lineup. So we think we put some of that behind us. So far, so good. But that's really the challenge, is to be consistently good. And we have the most balance of offense in our conference. If you go look at the stats, dig a little deeper, you'll see that we set everybody about the same amount. Nobody in our league is even close. So if we're all playing well, we are very hard to keep up with. So that's important for us to have everybody really doing a good job with a couple of great performances each night, and that's how it's been going for us, and that's what we kind of expect moving forward.
Chris Lamb, our guest, Wichita State volleyball coach. There is no doubt that you have increased the awareness, visibility, and popularity in volleyball in Wichita, Kansas in your 24 years. I commend you for that. How do you explain what happened at Nebraska? 90-some thousand going to a volleyball match outdoors at their football stadium. How does that happen? What makes that happen?
Well, it wouldn't happen everywhere. The great Terry Pettit, the great volleyball coach at Nebraska, he got that whole region excited about volleyball. And, it's just a state where the girls will play volleyball and not basketball. They're aspiring to be volleyball players. And, the number of Division I recruits that come out of a small populace between, Lincoln to halfway through, on into Iowa. It's amazing when you look at how little population is there, how many Division I players come from there. And with that is fans. So if Nebraska is going to put something like that together, Husker Nation is going to show up. And it wasn't just about Nebraska volleyball. They had the other teams there. Omaha was there. Several of the D2 teams also played. But they marketed the heck out of it. And, we knew them to be around 70,000. They talked about how they could get over 90 if they made a change to the concert schedule that they had. So seating would go differently. And once they did that, they targeted the largest event for any women's sporting event in the history of women's sports. So they targeted it and they nailed it. And I'm not sure we're going to see this on a regular basis, but pretty neat to see. And I'm glad it got some national recognition.
Who you zeroing in on as the next Giants manager, if you've even had a spare moment to think about that?
I don't. Maybe Bochy. How about that one? Can we get him back?
He doesn't have time to think about the Giants.
Just asking.
He's got volleyball, and he's got the 49ers.
It's true.
Well, you're right about that, but I don't want you guys to jinx me. I just we're not going to talk about the 49ers right now, okay? I'm just going to sit back and enjoy what I got. And I listen to podcasts every night, and I'm pretty I'm liking what I'm seeing, and let's stay healthy and let's go get one.
Our best to your wife, Shannon, your family. Chris, we always appreciate you taking time to join us. Best of luck again on the road this weekend down in New Orleans to face Tulane, Wichita State volleyball coach Chris Lamb. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.